Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Mastering Midlife, How to Thrive When the World Asks the Most of You. I am your host, Mark Silverman. Today, I have a good friend and a colleague, Karen Goldfinger Baker, who is a transformational coach who comes from the world of high-stakes fundraising, but has moved into this part of her life because of the difference she's always made in other people. So she's got her certification, and she's already working with powerful athletes and entrepreneurs and people all over the place, just helping them transition to different roles in their lives, which always fascinates me because this whole podcast is about legacy and transitioning and taking those gifts and what is the next chapter. She's just an incredibly insightful person, but today she wants to talk about shame and worthiness. And I'm like, Karen, I will talk about the phone book with you because I know my audience is going to get value of it. And we're all walking around with our own versions of the shame and worthiness. So the first question, by the way, welcome.
Thank you.
I'll let you say something. Why do you want to talk about this subject? Why do you want to talk about shame and worthiness? What's up for you that this is an important topic?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. I've really been thinking about it after having so many conversations with so many people, regardless of the level of, let's call it accomplishment, the level of success. What I have seen come up in pretty much every conversation I've had, whether it's somebody who I'm working with on defining their own living legacy or on creating what they want in the world and they don't quite know yet, the thing that has followed them and they try to stuff down are stories of shame and questions of their own worthiness. And typically what I hear is, I want to do that, but everybody else can do it better. Or I want to make a dent in the universe and somebody else is already doing it. Or even somebody else can do it so much better than me. And when we start to dig into those stories about what their dream is, and they have all sorts of great energy around that, but then at the actual putting action behind it, all the holdbacks come from whether they're from the time they were little or to their teen years or to love or sex or business or a athletic coach or somebody told them or they somehow interpreted, I'm not worthy.
Yeah, it always goes back to a little league coach.
Yeah,
always.
right.
So actually, let me back you up a little bit. So people come to you to either do career transition or legacy building, like they've already had impactful, really successful careers, and now they want to know what chapter 3 is about and what they're going to do. So that's what they come to you initially for. So you start talking about, and you start building a vision with them of what they could possibly do, or they come to you saying, I'd like to do this.
Right.
And that's when you hit the wall of shame and worthiness.
Yeah. We have all sorts of beautiful, energy around what can be, conversations in magnificent possibility. And then we get to a place where, but not for me. And there's a heartbreak in that. And that heartbreak is my own. I mean, I have that story, right? So I, it's the old, you spot it, you got it. Like I can see it in somebody else because it's my own story. And so
let's recreate that story for a second. This is how you and I bonded. We've been friends for a long time, but then you and I had a deep conversation about being losers.
Right.
And you talked about feeling like a loser.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
And what did we come up with in that conversation?
We came up with that we've been to the bottom.
We're already losers.
We're losers. We have nothing to lose.
Right. So holding on to this facade is just ridiculous because we already lost and we already know we lost. So now we'll create something.
Yeah, exactly. We have nothing to lose. Whether we've truly been to the bottom in somebody else's eyes doesn't even matter. We have felt it. Right. And so there's nothing to fear, right? There's nothing. All of it is just energy. And we get to make the decision. We get to we can have whatever we want.
But for me, the only way I got free to be able to actually create and do these kinds of things is to realize I have nothing to prove and I'll never be able to prove anything to anybody. So I might as well just go play. Right.
Right.
So that was the freedom I had. So
Yeah.
now let's go back to your people. Actually, let's not go back to your people. Let's go back to you, because
Yeah.
you do create amazing, powerful things in the world, even with this sense of unworthiness and shame. How
Right.
do you work with that for yourself?
Yeah. It wasn't until I would say probably two or well, for one, doing the work, right? So like 2-3 years into doing quote unquote the work and getting deep and heavy and real with myself, hiring amazing coaches to help me in that, figuring out my stuff. It it wasn't until very recently that I realized what my, and it's not something only I can have, but I would say it's a mantra or a work philosophy or even a business, one-line business plan. And that is heal what you can, accept what you can't, and get what you want anyway.
Heal what you can, accept what you
You
can't,
can't,
and get what you want
anyway.
Love it.
That's been, I didn't have the words, but it has been my mindset. Like, oh, okay, I'll work on that. Screw it. That's not going to change. And screw it all. I'm going to get what I want.
Even the unworthy get to have popcorn and a soda
right.
when they go in the movie.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I see this in my people. And when I say my people, by the way, I'm talking about like a way of being versus like, the people who I work with. I mean, my type of people, the person who like I see in a crowd and I'm like, oh yeah, you're my person.
The people that you resonate with.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. So now you've done you and I know I've been in the trenches with you.
Yes, you have.
Right. So we've worked on I've seen you work on your stuff. We've worked on our stuff together.
Yeah.
We've worked on so now you're working with your people. They hit this wall, and the people who are listening, everybody who's listening in the car has some dream, has something that they want to create and they want to do. And some people just stop it before the thought even becomes materialized in their brain, because the shame just shuts it down and they don't have any hopes or dreams or thoughts of big plans anyway. But if it does get to even a dream, it's like, yeah, I can't do this. I got to go pay the bills.
Yeah. So mine is like, I want to do that. So it could be, I want to create an amazing program with the number one product in the world. Let's call it. Okay. I might have that dream. By the way, I did. And I wanted to create a leadership program with and here's what went through my head. I put it together, all the tools, all the thoughts, all the modules, all the steps. I even knew what it would look like. And I thought, I can't do it because they're going to know I'm fat. That's so funny for you.
That's not what I expected.
Yeah, that is what went through my head. I can't do that. I'm fat. Yeah. Yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute, but I am the person to do it. Oh, and guess what? I did it and they never noticed.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's a program.
So now with your exploration, because when we were talking earlier, we were talking about premature authenticity,
right.
Before recording any of this, and you were talking about how this conversation of shame and worthiness and the things that stop you is really personal and something that you really want to bring into the world. And when you decide to bring something in the world, it is powerful. It is a light that needs to be reckoned with. So how are you bringing this into your work, into the people you work with, into your own life?
Yeah. So how I'm bringing it into my own life is actually to live through, to kind of course correct as I, now that I kind of have identified the heal what you can, accept what you can't, and get what you want anyway, which, by the way, I say very differently in my head. It's less acceptable for podcasts. Yeah, it's a lot of more bold language.
So I actually, Trip Lanier was my first guest, and he set the standard. So I now have an adult rating.
Okay.
So how do you really say it?
Okay. So what I say is heal your shit or work on your shit. Okay. Work on your shit. Fuck it if it's not going to change, and get what the hell you want anyway.
That's visceral, and that's something I can work with right there.
Yeah. That's really what it is.
If Mark Manson can sell millions of books, in that vein, you can say it on my podcast.
Yeah. Fuck yes, I can.
So cool. So tell me some of the results that you're having with bringing this into the conversations.
Yeah. So some of the results are, what I hear from my own clients is this peace for the first time in their lives, like peace, which I would equate with surrender. And I'm enough. There's nothing I need to change to get what I want. I am the one to do the thing. So, for example, one of my clients has a pretty important job managing a pretty significant product in the world. And what he really wants to do is create more of a think tank around and be far more open and innovative. And he's starting to look at the work he's doing currently that's kind of constrained and for a bigger purpose, looking at it in that way and freeing his mind to be, I can be innovative. I can open those who I work with up to their possibility. This is a big shift for him.
Right. Well, so what was his head telling him before that?
His head was telling him that he had to be a certain way. He had to show up leaderly. He had to show up with leadership. What is that term? It's a term that is so vague and everybody uses it. Oh, with leadership presence. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't think anybody else does either. He had to show up with leadership presence. He had to not micromanage and at the same time have very much a pulse on his people to the point where he felt it wasn't natural for him. So when he let go, when he actually surrendered to his enoughness, to his worthiness, suddenly his area is creating amazing stuff, not only for the company, but also the change that's happening in the world.
That's incredible.
Yeah, really powerful stuff.
So now if I'm listening in the car,
yeah,
I'm wondering what is the secret sauce between the shame and the anxiety and the worthiness, and then with this young man, the belief that he had to be a certain way, and then that breakthrough to the peace, because I want that peace that you're talking about.
Right.
What was the trend? Where did you step this person through so that they could find that?
Yeah. So we actually walked through, I don't want to call it a process because, we kind of make it up as we go. But what we did was go from what are those stories that are holding you back? What are the stories about who you are, who you've been told you are, who you believe you have to be, and who do you want to be? Right? And do you, the who you want to be, are you that person? So if we strip away all the shoulds, and he chooses, and he chose, this is me, this is me in enoughness, in worthiness, with stories of shame, but that's okay. I can show the fuck up. So we also, a really big one, I think a really critical one, and I see this with all of my people, are the stories around money. Money stories are big stories when worthiness and shame come up, whether they're stories that have been in your family for generation after generation, whether it's talking about money is dirty, money corrupts, wash your hands, you just touched money. All of these mindsets around, well, if I want to do something, who am I to do it? Who am I to want to take something from the world and shift? So what we've done is work with his mindset around being the gift that you are for the world. The money happens to flow your way. But you're not a taker, you're actually a giver. So that piece has been huge. And I see that pretty much across the board.
What are some of the money shadows that you've heard people say? Can you list them off?
Yeah. Money shadows are things like, especially with when I have conversations with coaches, I can't raise my prices because I'm not sure my coaching is worth that. So there's a story, there's a worth story in there. Stories of rich people are corrupt, right? Money is dirty. If my family accumulates wealth, we're going to be bad people. And then there's the whole thing with a population, with high performance athletes who came from not much money, if any at all.
Right.
And suddenly they have it. And then there's the whole now I have to take care of my family. And, family could be 4 people or it could be 444 people.
Right.
And who do I trust? So there are issues of trust, and there are issues of do I spend it on, do I blow it all on stuff? I don't even know that I know to trust anyone around investment. It goes deep. It goes real deep. So the thing that we work on is your legacy around money. What legacy do you want to live currently? What do you care about? And what do you want to change in the world?
So this is for people who have made it, have the money, they have the extra money, and now what are they going to do with it? And that gives them a purpose for the next chapter in their life.
Right. Instead of doing it when they're dead, let's start now.
That's powerful. I love working with people on chapter 3.
Yeah.
And you can start that when you're actually in your career and you're working, and you can start looking towards what are you going to do as your career starts to wane. What is it that you want to make as an impact in the world? And it's not so much altruism. I actually not a big believer in altruism. It's more, how do I want to stay juicy and alive and creative and intact? The legacy isn't so much about making the impact in the world, is being involved with the world and being in relationship with the world.
Exactly. Yeah, that connection going from me to we, right? You are small, whatever small group we've created, our community, to the world. So the me purpose, the we purpose, and the world purpose. So powerful.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah. And shame and worthiness always comes up, even with Super Bowls and Pro Bowls and Hall of Fame. All of it. There's always a story. Yeah, there's always stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So if someone with a Super Bowl ring can feel the shame and the unworthiness.
Yeah.
Most of us have our own stuff, but there is a path through.
There is a path through, and I believe it's the most beautiful part of surrender. And the most beautiful part of surrender is healing what you can, accepting what you can't, and getting what the fuck you want anyway.
That's cool. That's where I come in, is helping people figure out what they really want,
right?
Rather than the bastardized distractions that we think we want. So it's not the bling. It's usually it has something to do with relationship, legacy, impact, and connection.
Yes.
Right. So this is great. So what's next for you? What big plans do you have?
Yeah, big plans. So this summer, I'm actually launching a course. Yeah, I'm launching a group coaching program. I feel so called to, because I hear from coaches all the time. How did you build your business? Where do you get your bold from? How did you do this? And when I dig into their stuff, I hear my own story, and I created a program around these very three principles of heal what you can, accept what you can't, and get what you want anyway. And I'm launching it. It's really edgy shit for me.
That's awesome.
It's edgy. I've never done anything that's like my own. Well, that's not. No. I've not done something that's like my.
I'm sure it feels that way right now.
Yeah. Okay, so here's how it feels. I feel like it's my own brand out in the world. That's edgy.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Now shame, unworthiness, and go for it anyway. And go for it anyway.
Yeah. They're all there. All those, like, the little, like, person is sitting on my shoulder saying, nobody wants this crap you created. Yeah, it's all there.
And I know it's going to be powerful and incredible and make a big difference in people's lives. Karen, thank you for sharing your gold. Absolutely. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You are an amazing person. Your clients are so lucky, and so are my listeners. Thank you for that. Yeah. Thank you for your friendship.
And for you as well, Mark.
Great. Yeah. To everybody else, thank you for listening. Thank you for your most precious commodity, which is your time and your attention. I love you, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.